Today we are doing a new Q&A session based on the questions that you guys have asked, both subscribers to the podcast over on Substack and the guys that we have on Instagram. We're talking about Panerai, Breitling, thoughts on independence, not independence, like independent watch brands, not independence politically. I can't remember what else, but a whole lot of cool stuff.
Music. Yes,
Music.
That was sick. That was sick. That was so good.
You're such
I can't believe you just do it off the cuff. It's so good. I've said this before and I'll never stop saying it. You were born to podcast. I can't do that. That was really good.
Yes, you fucking can.
I can't. I don't I don't have that. It's good. You're a natural. You're born for it.
Oh, Bray, you're too kind. Welcome back to the Movement Podcast with myself, Adrian, and over here we have Britt Pierce. Britt Pierce. That was Bristol, Bristolian.
Oh no! Coming from me, a Bristolian twang.
Yeah.
Oh no! It's been slowly creeping in. I can feel it. Every year I've been living here, I get a little bit more Bristolian. I say, where are you to now? I'm like, oh, where's she to?
What does that mean? Where are you going?
It just means, I don't know. It's a thing Bristolians do. It just means, where are you? But for some reason, we've added a to. Where are you to? Where are you going? Where are you to?
Oh, right. There's some funny Glaswegian things like that, and I can't think of one. Right, I don't have a watch on for a very good reason, because I have so many watches in. I need to stop touching the sodding microphone. I've got so many watches in, and I feel like I've worn all of my watches to death. So I need to, maybe I'll change my watches throughout. But I've got the new Christopher Wards. You've already done a video on this, haven't you? The new Christopher Wards. Have you not?
I've not done a video on these yet.
All right. So I've got the new Christopher Ward, I can't remember what they're called. C60 Extreme GMTs. I've got the new Bamford Sick. I've got Holiday Bamford. I've got this new Bamford. This isn't sponsored. Oops. George is a subscriber. This is a new Bamford. This feels like an advert now. Sodding not.
It's not. It's really not.
So George has done this thing. I'm going to do a video on these. You've got this watch core, and then you have multiple colored cases.
Whoa.
That go on them. And it's not just a matter of they just click on. I need to take this one off. So it's got this little switch. That's really smart.
Oh, that's a clever system.
Yeah. And I kind of feel like these rival the Moonswatch. They're more expensive than the Moonswatch. I think they're about 400 quid. Anyway, so I've got these in. I've got a whole load of Christopher Wards in. I've still got those. Have you done the video on the Hamiltons? The khaki. All right.
No, I knew you were doing a video on one.
I haven't done it yet though.
Is it the the reserve indicator one?
Yeah, it's really cool. I don't like the white one, but I really like the black one. I think it's really smart. So I'm going to be throughout the show. I'm going to be changing watches because I can. What have you got on the wrist?
You like black dial field watches?
I know. So the problem is
breaking news, everyone.
The problem is with the white one, the hands don't look right. The hands look too thin and weedy on the white dial. Like they don't have enough presence. But also the fact that the dial is white and the rehort, the inner bezel, there's an inner bezel, the inner space, the inner bit of metal around the dial, between the dial and the crystal, is very reflective. And so the dial feels really deep, oddly deep. So it just looks a bit odd. So on paper, the white dial is the winner. But actually in person, I think the black dial looks better. Both are killer, but I want to do Bach and Jack Hamilton. That's kind of my...
That would be very cool. That would be sick.
I'd like to... We can talk about that stuff here because it's not public. But that would be a really cool thing to do. Right, what have you got on the wrist?
I am wearing my FP Journe Elegant. This wasn't really thought through for this episode. My whole day has just been go, 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 go. So I put it on first thing this morning. I thought I need something that is just going to be telling me the right time. I don't want to be setting a watch. So quartz it was, and I'm very happy to be wearing it. But more importantly, I'm wearing a Toronto Blue Jays jersey because anyone who's into sports, I'm so sorry if you're not into sports, the Toronto Blue Jays might win the World Series tomorrow night. This is huge.
I have no idea what you're talking about. What is a World Series? Let's go back. What sports are Blue Jays?
So let's start at the very beginning. They're a baseball team. They're Canada's only baseball team now. And they've not won the World Series, I think, since 1993. Around the time I was born was when we last won the World Series.
What? When were you born?
I was born in 1992.
Oh, you fuck. That's horrendous.
Which I think is young in the watch space, but old in the content space. On TikTok,
that makes me ancient.
A skeleton. But in the watch world, it's younger. There's much younger people than me coming into it now, though. But yeah, we might win the World Series. I'm very excited. I've been a Blue Jays fan for a pretty long time. We used to get season tickets when I was a kid. And it's a good time. I miss baseball. I miss North American sports. I've tried to get into European sports. I've tried to get into rugby. I can't fully do it. I've tried to get into cricket. Formula One was already something I was into, and it's kind of carried through, which is nice. But I can't get into any of the sports here. Are you a sports guy?
No. But I do think kind of the opposite of what you're saying. I've never been able to get into North American sports. I used to play baseball when I lived over there.
What?
But as like Little League, I'm talking like I was probably, I don't know, half a foot high. But there was a time where we did a bit of American football versus rugby. I just feel like rugby's there's a lot more going on. American football just like it kept stopping. Like you'd touch the ball and then stop, and then something would have to happen, and then it would stop. It's like, no, let's just keep going. But anyway, no, I think by my physique, I wish I was into sport, but nope.
You seem like someone who might be into tennis.
I enjoy tennis, yeah. Yeah,
you got a tennis feeling about you, yeah.
I don't know what that means. But yeah, I used to play tennis at school. Yeah, I used to play a lot of tennis. Right, let's do the questions, Q&A. So this episode is going to be a public episode. Typically, the episodes are behind a paywall over on Substack, where we have a nice little community of, you'll see by the questions, like detailed watch geeks, deep watch geeks. It's good fun. Good little crack over there. Good group.
The best watch community on the internet.
I wasn't going to go there, but I would say that as well. That they are the geekiest, the most knowledgeable watch geeks, and it's fun. It's fun over there. So if you want to check out this, if you want more of this, that's what I'm trying to say. Then jump over to Substack. It's just themovementpodcast.substack.com, or just visit themovementpodcast.com. Or if you don't want to pay for it, then follow us on Instagram, and you'll get little clips every now and then when we have time to edit them. Right, let's do questions. And the whole idea about it being behind a paywall isn't because we're greedy gits. It's because we don't want to do sponsorship stuff. We just want to speak openly. We want to be free from any form of sponsorship. That's not just from watch brands; it's from everyone. Because at any point you get a watch, at any point you get a sponsorship deal, they kind of control a bit of what you say. Can't mention this brand, can't say that, you got to do this, you can't show alcohol in the background of your shots, we don't want any competitor logos in the shot, and you just think that's just annoying. There's big companies that I do advertising with every now and then, and they have a list of watch brands that I'm not allowed to mention, and I have a feeling it's because I've upset those brands in the past. I was told I wasn't allowed to mention Hublot. That could be
what?
My biggest video has had 2 million views on why Hublot's hated.
Yeah, that was a good video. I remember when it came out.
That was fun to do. And it wasn't just bashing Hublot, it was kind of exploring why Hublot's hated.
Hit us
talk
with some
about
cues. Hit us with
talking.
some cues so we can give our A's.
Am I rambling? Right. Talking about brands that are disliked. On Instagram, I don't know how to say this name. Lef Laef 75 has asked, "Do you believe Panerai will become relevant again in the watch world?" I feel like Panerai's got a lot of flack recently. Maybe over the past 5 years, they've kind of got a bit of flack. Could they turn it around, do you think, and become mainstream and popular again?
I think they can. So it all depends on how they play their hands, I think. So I read a Fratello article once, and it was comparing Panerai to being the Humvee of watches. And
Ooh.
it's about right. Like they were really big, well, big in size, but then also they were really big and popular around the same era. And it's when people wanted big, like, built for purpose, tactical, everything. And styles and preferences have changed, but I think it will swing around again. But I also think one of Panerai's biggest problems is their refusal to be adaptable. They offer the same things and they will not change them. They will not adapt them. Even their smallest watch I can think of is a Luminor Due, which is 38 millimeters. I love this watch. Can
It's a
you
really
make
pretty watch
anything?
for something that's typically beefy. They've managed to make it sexy. I really like that size.
Yeah. I love it too. I love it too. My big problem with the Due is it's just 30 meters of water resistance. And you could, I want a little bit more with this style of watch. I just think the best and worst thing about Panerai is their refusal to adapt or change. But I think it will lead to their demise, possibly. What do you think?
Completely agree. And on one hand, I like the fact that they haven't adapted. I like the fact that they've stuck to the guns and said, this is our product and we're going to stand by our product, because I feel like that shows a lot of strength. However,
Mm.
that's if that's what Toys R Us did. We've got this business model. We're going to stick by having stores. We're not going to do internet, and it killed them. So if you don't adapt, you can just die. In the watch world, especially when you've got heritage, it's hard to adapt. It's hard to change and bring out something new. However, I feel like AP are in a very interesting, are producing a bit of a case study around that with their code 1159, how it was
Yeah.
hated when it first came out, but it feels like they're having some sort of resurgence with it, or there's like this wave of love, and I'm on board with it. I think it's cool, and if they're able to make a success of this new line within a heritage company, that could show other brands that you can do it if you do it right.
I
So
feel like we could do a whole episode on AP, like a
yeah,
whole case study of AP and what's happening. And then, annoyingly, another case study brand would be Rolex and how they adapted and changed. Two brands that are really closely intertwined and linked as well, Panerai and Rolex. And we always say Rolex is evolutionary, not revolutionary. And if Panerai could just be a little bit more evolutionary,
mm,
it could serve them really well, but they're just a little bit too not evolutionary.
yeah, I agree. So I think they could do it. I think that's the answer. But if they do it, or would they do it? I think that's a completely different situation. Right, let's see what else we've got. So Andrew, who's a subscriber on Substack, Andrew Sinclair has asked, do you think the rise of independent brands has permanently changed how collectors think about value and authenticity in watchmaking? I told you these guys are geeky.
Oh, it's a good question.
It's such a good question. And I think the answer is yes, because I feel like typically the independents don't have anything to hide, don't have a heritage to protect, and they can be a lot more open than the big brands. And so they can say, this is what you're getting for your money. And so I feel like once you know what you're getting for your money, or you can meet the watchmaker, I'm thinking independence from Christopher Ward right up to FB Jean. And like, I feel that whole package, they can be open with what they're doing. And therefore, you know where your money's going. Whereas when you're buying an Omega or you're buying a Patek or a Vacheron, you don't necessarily know is my money going to protect the name, or is it going to the watchmaking ability or the finishing? And so I feel like, especially now in the internet age, where we can do our own research and do our own digging and find out, make sense of all the smoke and mirrors that the watch industry has, and the fact that we're now in a stage of wanting more for our money because the economy is not that great globally. I think the fact that we can find the information out about the independents means that the independents makes more sense. But then your money's more safe with the big brands.
Yeah, and it depends on how you define indie as well. So Patek Philippe is
Yes.
technically an indie.
Yeah, as is Rolex. Yeah,
technically an indie. So it depends on how we're defining this and what we mean by this. I think people often mean MB&F, like you said, FP Journe, a lot of the micro brands as well. And if that's what we mean by it, I think they have absolutely changed the landscape and how enthusiasts especially think of watches and value. I don't think it affects outside of the enthusiast community quite as much. But I think this is where FP Journe becomes an interesting case study. So right now we're in the middle of kind of an elegant bubble. The prices have skyrocketed. If you were looking at an elegant on December 31st, 2024, it would have been about 75% cheaper than it is today on the secondary market.
Holy shit.
Yeah, they're having a huge bubble, particularly on the elegant right now. And I would say it's because there's been a lot of really big auctions and auction prices these have fetched for. And these are one of one crazy elegant, and it's trickled down to, ones like the one I have. They're an interesting case study because they're an indie that's becoming more well known. So it's a not at all heritage indie that is kind of breaking more mainstream. And I guess that's quite similar to Richard Mille as well. I think they've changed the landscape quite a bit, and they are becoming even further reaching than they were 5-10 years ago.
Yeah. And I think another element is, I know FP Journe's slightly different, but if you go back 8 years ago with FP Journe, then they would have been part of this category. The fact that you would have to wait X amount of years or decades for a certain Patek, whereas you could go get a similar level watch from another brand, let's say FP Journe, and not have to wait, then I feel like that in itself has kind of changed the market with that level. And I guess perhaps, no, but there isn't really, I feel like there's this void with independence where you have the micro brands which are kind of dominating the Seiko, Tissot price range, and then you have the independents on the upper end of the scale. But then there isn't really an independent kind of challenging the Rolex market, the Omegas, the IWCs, is there?
I think it's hard to compete in that landscape of these are the mid-tier luxury brands are leaning into the things a lot of people are looking for and can do it at a mass scale that they just wouldn't have the advantage of mass. So people would be like, oh, but even though this is really well finished, it has a Solita in it. Why does it have the SW200?
Yeah.
So I think they just couldn't hit that thing people are looking for around the 7,000 pounds, 10,000 pound price point, which would be, I want a quite good movement. You'd probably want an in-house movement. You'd want certain specs that I think it would be hard for an outsider to replicate. Whereas at the tippy top end, if we have like Laurent Ferrier, Hajime Asaoka, they're doing crazy watchmaking. And that's what really, really rich people are buying. They're buying this crazy level of watchmaking. And then more normies. Yeah. And the other problem for me would be, if I am spending 5,000 to 10,000 pounds on a watch, you kind of want it to be a strong enough brand name that when it came time to service this, I need to know that you'll still exist. If you're giving me an in-house movement or something like that, will you still exist? Can I get this serviced one day? Which is one nice thing about the Salitas and ETAs if you get from a smaller brand. And it sounds horrible to say, but the landscape's weird.
Yeah, no, that's such a good point. So I think the answer again is yes. We could just do one word answers to this. But yeah, I do feel like the independents, I guess, are just the next generation. Like at some point, Rolex, Omega, these guys were actually no, Omega's really bloody old, but these guys, Breitling, they were the new people.
The problem is our community is so much smarter than us. They're going to ask questions that are just yes or no because they already know the right answer, I think. They're smarter than we are. We're just affirming, yes.
No. Yes, you're correct, yes. Next question. Right, this is a long one. This is from Amateur Hour. This is another subscriber on Substack. Amateur Hour watches. I've noticed that after years of ignoring social media enthusiasts, content creators, suddenly Breitling seems to have decided to change course. And suddenly you guys, Teddy, and a bunch of others are getting tours and samples from Breitling. So he's got two questions. Do you think this will shift people's views of Breitling from a mainstream watch for normies to an enthusiast brand? And two, this seems to be opposite of Tudor, who chase the enthusiasts aggressively with their rebrand, but they aren't, which strategy seems smarter to you? Okay. So Tudor
what strategy? Yeah.
Yeah. So Tudor tackled the whole enthusiast market, but they haven't really been picked up by the mainstream, whereas Breitling seems to be the other way around. I've forgotten the first question already. What's the first question? Do you think they can shift people's views? All right. So first question is, do we think that Breitling can shift from being a mainstream brand to an enthusiast brand? Do you have any thoughts on that? I've got thoughts, but I don't know.
I have big thoughts. I have big thoughts on this. And I think, I guess full disclosure is that we both have dogs in this fight as we create content around watches. So we want these relationships. This helps my channel keep going. I always want more brand relationships and more access to watches. I think Switzerland particularly is always about 15 years behind on everything. So in like the tech space, brands have been doing this for a long time. They want to reach out to people who are in the space. Hey, review our products. Hey, we want to work closer with you. So I think it makes a lot of sense. I don't see how it could ever be a bad thing. I always say, I always feel like in this model, everyone's winning. So using Breitling as an example, if they send me a watch, I'm going to make a video because I'm a watch goblin. This is my favorite thing to do. Obviously, I want to film your watch. I want to talk about your watch. Let's do this. So it's great because they're getting more resources out about their product. So if someone was looking into buying a Breitling, where's the first place you go? I'm going to look at a YouTube video. These are really expensive things. Is this a good watch? That's what I do. This is great. So they have not branded content that's being made where people can learn, hopefully, quite accurate information about the product, what's good, what's wrong. They can get more consumer feedback, which they can then do things with. I win because I want to make videos. I love reviewing watches. It's my favorite style of video to make. So to me, everyone's winning in this model. I think it's the best course to be taking. I think a lot of brands will win out if they are working closer with YouTubers and people like us. I don't think it's necessarily a play at being more an enthusiast brand. I just think they want more resources out for more people, whether that's enthusiasts, not enthusiasts. I think a lot of people find themselves on a watch review.
I think they already are an enthusiast brand, not in the same way, not to the level of Omega, not to the level of Rolex, or perhaps IWC. I'd say IWC is probably more enthusiast heavy than mainstream heavy, and Breitling's probably the opposite, more mainstream than enthusiast. But I feel like there is quite a big. I'm trying to remember the guy's name on Instagram. There's a guy called Fred something. on Instagram who's like an absolute Breitling nut. And like you don't get more enthusiastic than him from a watch geek point of view. So I feel Breitling is already an enthusiast brand, but I understand the idea of the question because the ratio is more mainstream enthusiasts.
Yeah.
And to be honest, from a commercial point of view, that's the way you want to be. You want to be more mainstream and less enthusiast, kind of like Tag Heuer. Tag Heuer is probably making a huge amount of cash being more mainstream than enthusiast versus the Tudors, who are more enthusiast versus mainstream. Tudor is a big brand within our community, but they're not making a huge amount of money. Are they number 8? No, I don't think they're even that. They're a blip on Rolex's entire turnover. And so they're not actually that big. So I feel like Breitling are in an interesting spot. But yeah, I think they already are an enthusiast brand. And I don't think they would benefit from being more enthusiast because the money isn't with us. The money's with the normies, not us goblins. What do you call us? Watch goblins.
Yeah, I'm like a disgusting watch goblin. I clearly have a mental illness. I can't stop making these videos. I can't stop buying these watches. No, I think everyone wins in this model.
I feel the connection with Tudor is interesting because I feel like with Tudor, to sell their watches requires you either have to pump in a huge amount of money to do the marketing, or you rely on the connection with Rolex. But to understand that connection is an education piece. And if you're wanting to educate people, the only people who are willing to be educated are us geeks. So I feel like they either had to pump a whole load of money into marketing, which is obviously expensive and a higher risk, or they had to lean down on the route of let's educate people. And so I feel like Breitling's in commercially a better position than Tudor because they already have that in with the normies.
And I love that perspective of educating as well, because I didn't think of it from that lens. And I could see why Breitling is investing in that right now. I think they're about to do some pretty big plays.
Yeah.
And because we know, I don't know how much I'm allowed to say, we know about Univers de Genève and we know about Gallet.
Yeah.
Some big plays are coming down in the pipeline. And the fact that they are investing into the education side, I think will serve them really well.
And they that's what they said openly to us when they wanted content made was when we criticized them. I think we both criticized them for not pulling their weight or not doing enough. And their thought was, oh, we just need to teach them. They're unaware of what we're doing. And it worked because I've now got a Breitling.
So I titled my manufacturing tour video as I was wrong about Breitling. And I really was. Like, it really was an educational bit for me. And it was an important thing I think I needed. And I think your opinions should evolve. Well, not always should, but when you're wrong, I'm okay to say, oh, guys, I was wrong.
Yeah. And I think it's easy if you make a statement about something, or if you don't make a statement, if you ignore something, there can be comments on YouTube saying, "Oh, you didn't mention this, you didn't mention that. How are you not aware of this?" And it was like, we're independent people. We don't have a team of people behind us doing research. The likes of Houdinki, Teddy, Fratello, Time and Tide, they have teams of people who specialize in different areas, and they will then hone in on that one thing, and they will then be the voice of that one thing. Whereas we're one person. We're not one person. We're individual people. And so we can only know so much. And so when I've made flippant comments about Nomos, they corrected me, and I stood corrected. When I made flippant comments about Breitling, they corrected me. Bremen wasn't so successful. They tried to correct me. This is a funny question that it's not. It's an odd question that I'd like to have a little bit of a rant about. This is from Instagram from Mug. This is Mug N CWC. Mug N CWC. Don't know. I'm a big fan and follower of military ingenuity. And watches, I've never served, can't for physical and medical reasons, but appreciate the watches made for and influenced by the military. A friend in a similar position was accused of stolen valor for, I assume, wearing a military watch. I disagree with this accusation. What are your thoughts? So my thoughts are that's fucking stupid.
Yeah, that's a very silly thing.
You can't be accused.
It's like me wearing the Blue Jays jersey and being like, "You don't play professional baseball."
It is. That's an outrageously stupid viewpoint. That's like, yeah, it's like wearing a jersey and saying, "Oh, you can't wear that. You're not professional. Why are you driving a sports car? You're not a racer. You can't wear a dive watch because you don't dive."
Yeah.
I thought I just wanted to show.
No, that's absolutely silly. Forget that person. Just don't even listen to that.
That's someone trying to feel special about something.
Yeah.
So yeah. Right. So Kevin from Substack Kevin Cagle has asked thoughts on passing. This is a tricky one. Thoughts on passing up allocations that you didn't order, but then you're concerned about never actually getting the call for the watch that you want. So you've asked the watch for, hypothetically, you've asked the AD for a Rolex Pepsi, and they call up and tell you that we don't have a Pepsi, but we have this two-tone GMT Master 2 root beer. Would you like that?
The AD game. Do we play the AD game?
So I've got. It's such a tricky one.
Hit us with your thoughts, Adrian.
So I bought 3 watches. With the idea of this could be this. I like these watches, but this could help me get up the allocation ladder, and it's done fuck all, and I get nothing. So my immoral viewpoint on it is, if the AD wants to play games with you, then you play games with the AD, and you either buy those watches and flip them. I'm against flipping, but if the AD is going to dick around, then I feel like that gives you a pass to dick around as well. Apologies for the language. Or you cut your losses and you go grey. Now, I don't like flipping and I don't like the grey market. So I feel both of those viewpoints go against my... I feel moral is a bit harsh. My passionate viewpoint of watches. I would like there to be a world where we just walk in and buy the sodding watch that we want. But I feel like that's, if someone's going to dick around, then that gives you the right to dick around. Now, over to Brit.
So I'm a bit spoiled when it comes to AD relationships. So I married someone who's been watch collecting since the 90s, since before a lot of things were cool or popular. So I began the game way too far ahead with an AD relationship. So I've
and I'm right in saying that this is the only reason you married him was for his.
How's your allocations?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I wasn't into watches at all when I married him. But, if you had that advantage and you wanted a watch and it could work, I mean, who wouldn't use it? I've never experienced playing games like that. Our authorized dealer is fantastic. I've really not heard of anyone who goes to our AD, the Goldsmiths here in Bristol, having to do anything like that. But we also have the advantage of being into not waitlist pieces. So when I got my Cartier tank, it was through this authorized dealer, which I already wanted. I didn't get a sleazy phone call like, "Hey, if you buy this tank," we just already happened to have interest in watches that weren't waitlisted, and I wanted to buy this anyways, so I will do it through you. And it just so happens to also help us get better allocations in the future. It really helps with me as well. I think if you have a smaller wrist, you're into the not hype pieces anyways.
Yeah.
I can't get a GMT Master 2. It doesn't fit me anyways. I don't want a lot of these things. They're too big. But I would love a tank. I got a 34 millimeter OP, even when things were hyped, because no one wants the 34 millimeters. A lot of ladies think it's too large for them, or, the not watch ladies who want smaller Datejests. And then for enthusiasts, it's too small. It was just an easy one to get. So I'm already into the not waitlist pieces. My husband and I both love Tudor, and here in Bristol, they're quite easy to get as well. So I've never got that sleazy phone call, but I just so happen to buy other things as well anyways.
Yeah, it is so tricky. And it's annoying on so many levels. But at the end of the day, this is the game that we're in. So I guess it's just one of those risks that you have to take. And the challenge, no, it's a good thing that the market is in the way that it is, because right now things are easier to get. And so, one, things are easier to get, but also that means that the pre-owned prices or the grey market prices are coming down. So I would probably cut my losses and go grey market.
Yeah, and one last thing. There's a lot of pieces I really want that I know I just won't get allocated. And I always try to tell myself and remind myself, some people have real problems. If my biggest problem of 2025 was I didn't get a 5811 allocation, like it really is luxury problems.
Yeah,
these
first world problems.
These aren't real ones.
Yeah, move on.
They didn't give me a celebration. I'm still so salty about that. But once again, my biggest problem was they discontinued a celebration dial and I didn't get one. Don't worry, Brittany. These aren't the biggest problems in the world.
I'm going to be okay. Right. So Ian Biggins, another subscriber over on Substack, has asked, this is an interesting question. Did you make a conscious decision to become a collector, or did you just wake up and realize that you had become one organically? A deep thought. Well, I guess, again, you've come of it. I was right, I unplugged my microphone then. You've come at it from a slightly different perspective from others, because you were in it from the sidelines. I didn't consciously become a collector, but then I've always been a collector of things. I've always collected cameras. I've always had multiple cameras. I had 11 guitars when I played guitar. I've always had multiple amps, and so I've always collected things. And so, although I didn't consciously think I'm going to become a collector, I think it's one of those things where you get a nice watch, and then you can justify another one, and then you can justify another one, and then justify another one, and then before you know it, you have a collection. So it wasn't a strategic thing for me. What are your thoughts?
There is no strategy in this. Yeah, no, this was... I came into it through a different way. So my husband was really into watches, and I slowly, through osmosis, started taking on some of that. So I would see his passion, and it definitely rubbed off on me. It was a long journey of, oh, I got one nice watch. Oh, that's good. I'm not the same as you though, James. I'm not pining after another. I was really happy with my one watch. I got a Cartier tank, and I was more than happy with that. And then he bought me my second watch, which is a Nomos. And that was my first mechanical one. And I could feel the cogs turning for me, literally and figuratively, of understanding why people love this. But same as you, I've always been a collector of things. I've always enjoyed, collecting things. I used to collect banknotes and coins when I was a kid.
Oh, right.
And I got priced out of the coin game. Coins get crazy. Weird banknotes. You can get some pretty cool ones. But yeah, I've always liked very niche particular things. So it made sense that I fell into watches.
Yeah, I think collectors of anything have a collector thing in them. You enjoy the detail. But yeah, I definitely didn't intend on doing it. I don't know how passionate you feel about straps and bracelets. So I'll read the question first. I'll try and read the name. My apologies for messing this name up. Achint Madarata, subscriber over on Substack. Thanks very much. Very kind. Let's talk strap hacking. How do you decide on a strap for your watch, colors, materials, styles, and what combinations shouldn't have worked but blew your socks off once you tried it?
If only we had a professional strap person in our midst.
Yeah, but I'm not going to shill my straps. Are you a strap person, or do you just go with what's on it?
I
Does
have
that make
very
sense?
strong opinions on straps and bracelets.
Oh, right,
I
okay.
almost always keep the bracelet on, though. Every once in a while, I'll take it off for a little bit of fun. And it depends on the watch and the style. I have very strong thoughts, but I want you to answer this one first because you're the strap person in my world.
So no, I'm very similar to you. I have watches that live on a bracelet because I just feel like that's the best comment. My Explorer, for example, lives on a bracelet. My Kermit Submariner lives on a bracelet. It doesn't look good on a strap. Whereas my Explorer 2, I never wear on a bracelet. That lives on a strap. My Breitling has pretty much that will go on a strap, but I am enjoying the bracelet. I felt the bracelet is a little bit clunky, but that will go on a strap. So I feel like there are certain watches within my collection that just look better on a bracelet, and some that just look better on a strap. And the strap just comes down to how am I feeling that day. 9 times out of 10, it's a grey strap because that's what I do. But every now and then, I like grey. I'm a grey person. I've got a prototyping grey straps, a new grey strap. But it also then comes down to the style of the watch. So I want to bring up the adventurous side of the watch? That goes down to one strap. If I want to bring up the vintage side of a watch, I feel like something like the Mark 20, you can influence the style of the watch through the strap. So a certain material could bring out the vintage side of it. A certain material could bring out the more modern side of the watch. And that's kind of, if I want the watch to do a certain thing, I will then wear a strap to do that certain thing.
I don't know if anyone will find this relatable. It also depends on how emotionally psyched up I am for the ball achery of taking the bracelet off. So by the time I get the tool out and do all that, do I really want to? Most of the time not. Most of the time I do all of it. I get the NATO on and I think, the bracelet looked better. And then I have to decide whether, do I want to put the bracelet back on? I'm not very good at little fiddly things. So it depends on how emotionally ready I am to, am I gonna
That's the annoying
change
part
all
of having a
this?
YouTube channel, because I often have to refer to my Explorer 2. And when I refer to it, I often think it should be on the bracelet because that's the product that people buy. And so I'm often having to put the bracelet back on the Explorer 2. But then I don't wear it on the bracelet. So I'm constantly removing that bracelet. The back is scratched. That is a mashed up back. You do not want to buy watches off me. all my case backs are mashed up. So I guess it's like trying to choose your shoes for the day. It comes down to, what am I trying to portray?
Once again, my laziness comes out. It's whatever slips on. Whatever is the easiest shoe.
So this is from Instagram. Laurie ____D has asked, people spending less with inflation and cost of living, do you think this will affect the bigger brands and groups, or will the independents be more affected? I feel like it varies. For example, Breitling have just linking back to one of the previous questions about Breitling. The reason they're talking with a new group of people, like social media people, is because they've just had a massive investment and they're now on a big drive. They've got this huge amount of cash that's been injected into the company, and they're in this massive growth phase. And so commercially, they're in a very strong position because the market is down. A lot of brands are concerned and they're being careful with their money, whereas Breitling's in a position of, hey, we've got a shitload of money. We're going to do rock on. We're going to have some fun with this. So I feel like I don't feel like it's going to be independents versus groups. I feel like it's going to be brands independently. There will be some brands that have been playing a safe game, like Rolex, for example, who have got so much cash in a bank that they could close their factory, pay all of their employees for the next few years, and they will be absolutely fine. Whereas on the other hand, you'll have independents, you'll have large brands who are running at a loss, and they will be in very tricky situations. So I don't feel like it's split between independents versus groups. The benefit of the group is of course is the fact that they have typically a lot of cash behind them, but I feel that's also being part of the group has its strength because of the cash, but it also has its weakness or its threat because the groups are moneymakers. And if there's a brand within a group that isn't a moneymaker, they could just be sold off or closed down. And so I don't feel like there's one rule. But I feel like you're more business and analytical, business minded than I am, or on the news more. What do you think?
I love speculating on brands and looking into their finances. It's my favorite thing to do. I have an answer I want to say and then a more realistic answer. The answer I would love to see is that indies thrive and do better than I think they will. So when people have less money and they're being more careful with their spending, they want safer bets. So this wouldn't be the time I'd be getting something crazy. And they're probably also thinking of resale value as well, which sucks to say. But resale value is now more important because it's a way that people will be able to justify these bigger purchases, which sucks for us as enthusiasts because we're often not thinking of that. But I think that's where brands like Rolex will continue to thrive because people are more money-minded now. I
feel like Rolex is an outlier in this situation because they are so strong. Whereas you got brands like Omega, for example, who you could go on any platform and buy yourself a new in-box watch for 20, 30, 40% off retail price. And so I would find it hard to go into Omega now.
Yeah.
And buy that watch at full retail price because you could just go and get it on the grey market for so much less. Whereas Rolex and the higher end brands have that little bit of protection where their watches are still in high demand. I feel like there's so many little elements of if you're going to go with a big brand, but you're still concerned about money, then you're probably going to go pre-owned or grey market.
And I have a video where I talk about this soon as well. With retail, don't feel shy in asking for a little discount.
Yes.
I know it feels gross and it feels gauche and I hate doing it, but I will say, but look, I could buy a brand new one, secondary. Is there any wiggle room? And you can usually get about 20% off. 15 to 20% would be normal. And then it also depends on if we're playing the AD game. So if we are playing the AD game and you say, look, I really want this Planet Ocean, but this the price is a bit punchy for me. Is there any wiggle room? So if you are playing the AD game and you want to unlock some harder to get watches, it's still a good time to do it. And you can ask for a cheeky discount, which always feels gross, but don't feel shy in protecting your wallet. I think a lot of these prices have been set with the knowledge of, but we'll do a bit of haggling, which feels always really unnatural for me. But, when we're talking 20% for a luxury watch, that's a lot of guacamole. And worst they're going to say is no. They say no, and then you say, oh, okay. And then you go buy the secondary one.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Exactly. And you're a lot better off asking for a discount from a multi-brand dealer rather than one of these single brand boutiques. Because a single brand boutique has a lot closer relationship with the brand, like an Omega boutique or a Vacheron boutique or whatever. And so they have a lot more control over the pricing. And 9 times out of 10, they'll just say, oh, we can't change the price because the brand has so much control of them. Whereas the multi-brand boutiques, there isn't so much control. And so they have a lot more wiggle room.
You're allowed to. People don't realize it. Yeah, don't ask for Rolex or like if you have a Hype AP or Patek. But I know it always feels gross, but I always recommend to people, just ask if there's a bit of wiggle room in the price. There almost always is. I do still think the bigger brands will be safer in this time. And yeah, then we have conglomerates to think about as well. And different conglomerates play differently. So Richemont is very much in for the long term. Richemont isn't ditching or anything like that. LVMH is a bit scarier. LVMH, I would feel like I'm in hot water a little bit more. I think conglomerates will probably see that this is going to be short-lived and not forever, and they might be scooping up more heritage brands. I think a lot of them will weather this storm, and we might even see more brands being picked up and brought into conglomerates, which always makes me feel different ways. On the one hand, it's the big reason why we have a lot of heritage brands still today. But on the other hand, there is a soul that gets lost when a brand comes under a conglomerate and now has to think about shareholder pressure a little bit more than creating beautiful, artistic, exciting watches.
This new Watches of Wonders that's next year should be quite fun to see to see which brands are able to pull off a big show at Watches of Wonders, what they launch. I think that'll be a big telltale sign of who's doing well and who's not.
Yeah.
Because I left last Watches of Wonders thinking Zenith is in a bad place because they launched fuck all. On that positive note,
subscribe.
if you like this style of content and you want more of this, then check us out over at Substack. It's just themovementpodcast.substack.com. Every week we drop an episode on Sunday, a video thing like this, and audio that you can get over on all your podcast jobbies, devices, things, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Then you can import an RSS feed. Just getting geeky now. We usually finish with a little recommendation that we can recommend. Have you got a recommendation?
Oh no. I've not thought anything through. I was saying to Adrian before we hit film today, I am so deep into toddler life and taking care of my son that I don't know how to interact with adults anymore, interact with normal people, or interact with content for adults. I spend most of my time just trying to entertain a toddler. So when it finally is my free time, we've watched the latest season of Slow Horses. We've just finished it.
Oh, cool.
It's so good. The whole show is so good. Every time it ends, I think a deep sadness fills me because then I think, what am I going to do with my evenings now? I need to find new shows.
Yeah, we were watching Slow Horses last night and the Celebrity Traitors. So good.
Don't say anything. Don't say anything. So we're waiting till there's enough episodes that we can binge it because we get way too into traitors as well.
Yeah. So yeah, we're grumpy that we're up to date with it, which is annoying. My recommendation, another audiobook, would be Cold It's by Ben McIntyre. It's a really it's lots of little stories and accounts around the prison of war camp, not a concentration camp, prison of war camp during World War II, Colditz, and attempts to escape. And it's fascinating. Similar to watches, where at the start of watchmaking, clockmaking, it was all about engineering and coming over, getting over problems. We need this thing to happen, so we're going to engineer this thing. And so it was kind of this battle between the prisoners of war figuring out ways of escaping, and then the Nazis then creating systems to. So some people would escape, and then the Nazis would adjust their processes and security to then stop that from happening again. And then the prisoners would have to figure out how to get over that thing. And then ideas of building gliders so they could fly over the castle gates to escape. It's absolutely fascinating, and the determination to get out, and very clever ways of sending messages back to England through code. It's really smart. Obviously a shocking time, but very clever how people come up with ideas.
Error, but evil.
Yeah. There's a funny story of some lady, some aunt sent a letter to the prison of war saying, as a joke. Oh, just so happens that I've learned that you're like some distant cousin of Churchill, like 5 cousins removed or something. And it turns out everyone is a distant cousin of someone. But the Nazis read this, and it was supposed to be a joke from the auntie to the person. The prison Nazis read this and thought, "Oh God, we've got VIP with us." And so they took this prisoner and put him in a VIP area where he had luxuries and stuff. And he's like, "I'm not fucking supposed to be here," but he went along with it. So it's, a couple of funny thoughts there. But anyway, that's my recommendation. Called It's Ben McIntyre.
I recommend becoming a Toronto Blue Jays fan. If you're a Dodgers fan, just stop right now. Just stop it and become a Toronto Blue Jays fan. It will make you 20% sexier straight away. You will notice the effects straight away. That's all I got.
Amazing. Well, guys, thanks so much for watching. Thanks for getting involved with the questions. Appreciate it. You can check us out on Substack, just themovementpodcast.substack.com, or just go to themovementpodcast.com because that just takes you there. If you want to follow us on Instagram, it's themovement.podcast on Instagram. Yeah, I think that's enough.
You're so good at that. Yes, that's all the info they need.
I think that is. I hope so. If not, then we can add. No, we won't add anything. Guys, thanks so much. We'll see you soon.
Love you. Mean it.
See ya.